Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is the Grand Budapest Hotel. So for these final Wes Anderson films, these are ones that I have seen before, but there's always so much detail and richness. There'll definitely be stuff here that I pick up on again, you know. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. One of those movies that I saw that really got me into cinema, you know. And it is just kind of like a bit of a comfort movie as well for me. So I'm really excited to just jump right in. So before we get into this, be sure to check out the Patreon. Over there you can find early access, full-length timer-based reactions where you just sync up your own footage and polls so you can vote for what's next. So let's just jump right in. You almost forget about the multiple layers, right? Because there's the main story, which is M. Gustav and the hotel, but it's, you know, in this book, and then there's the author. There's like the multiple layers to it, right? One of the something like on his grave there was Hotel Lutz. I wonder if, I can't remember if that was part of the Society of the Cross Keys.
These stories will continue to... Stop it! Stop it! Don't do it! The incidents that follow were described to me exactly as I present them here.
As we passed in the Palm Court and the Arabian Baths and on board the Colonnade Funicular, we were a very reserved group, it seemed.
Yeah, I'd love to see some of the backgrounds of this, where they filmed it, all of the miniatures and stuff.
He was, like the rest of us, alone. But also, I must say, he was the first that struck one as being deeply and truly lonely.
He takes only a single-bed sleeping room without a bath in the rear corner of the top floor.
Because that was Gustav's room.
At that moment, the curtain rose on a parenthetical domestic drama.
Shh.
With the immediate and complete attention of Monsieur Jean.
You can see how much the hotel's changed, like the elevator's an actual elevator, there isn't an operator this time. And the aesthetic here is much more orange than it is pink in the past, you know?
I admire your work.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah, just like imagine being the person scouting out locations for this. I wonder if Wes does it himself or if he has a team of people who like do that.
But if it genuinely does interest you, may I invite you to dine with me tonight?
Ducks roasted with olives. Rabbit, salad.
And boy with apple is on the menu as well.
Well, it begins, as it must, with our mutual friend's predecessor, the beloved original concierge of the Grand Budapest. It begins, of course, with...
Ralph Fiennes, he just absolutely nails this role.
I'm not leaving.
I beg your pardon?
I'm not leaving.
Why not?
I'm frightened.
Of what?
I fear this may be the last time we ever see each other.
She's like unrecognizable, Tilda Swinton, isn't she? All of the prosthetics make her look that old and great.
This occasion, but truly and honestly, oh dear God, what have you done to your fingernails?
I beg your
The colour is completely wrong.
Oh, really? Don't you like it?
If this will soothe you.
What?
While questing
It's a
once,
sight.
and just listen to the words.
Please, it's not
Hush.
It's the visual comedy of them being so cramped in this elevator. It's all great. Every scene is just full of character. Does M. Gustav actually ever get to finish one of these little poems?
Yes, sir.
I've never seen her like that before.
No, sir.
She was shaking like a shitting dog.
Truly.
Run to Santa Maria in Brucknerplatz, buy one of the plain half-length candles and take back 4 Klubecks in change. Light it in the sacristy, say a brief rosary, then go to Mendel's and get me a courtesan au chocolat. If there's any money left, give it to the crippled shoeshine boy.
Right away, sir.
I have a friend who was a lobby boy at the Ritz, which is one of the poshest in London or in the world, really. So this always reminds me of him going to buy all of these things. He had stories of guests would just hand him £1,000 and like, go buy me a PS5 or something, you know? And he'd have to just leave, run off to a store and get one for them.
Straighten that cap, Anatole. The pleasure's mine, Herr Schneider.
The stress busters.
These are not acceptable.
Fully agree.
His whole thing is just so full of energy, isn't it?
Why do you want to be a lobby boy?
Who wouldn't? At the Grand Budapest, sir. It's an institution.
Very good.
I do wish Tony was in more things. Of course, he's in the Spider-Man movies, but he's kind of relegated to a side character, and he's so good in this. I hope he does get more roles, more bigger roles, I mean.
A lobby boy is completely invisible, yet always in sight. A lobby boy remembers what people hate. A lobby boy anticipates the client's needs before the needs are needed.
Just need to be always attentive.
Rich, old, insecure, superficial, blonde, needy.
Why blonde?
Because they all were. He was, by the way, the most liberally perfumed man I had ever encountered. I worked 6 days each week, plus a half-day Sunday. 5 a.m. until just after midnight.
5 a.m. till after midnight. So 5 hours-ish sleep.
The most dreadful and unattractive person only needs to be loved, and they will open up like a flower.
It's actually some pretty good advice. Here's Saoirse.
When I met Agatha. But we won't discuss that.
This definitely looks like it's filmed on film, especially there. It looks quite noticeable.
What do you want?
Look.
I love that. Just the war, you know, they do foreshadow it a bit, but it's kind of played off as a joke.
And bring a bottle of the Pouilly Jouvet 26 in an ice bucket with 2 glasses so we don't have to drink the cat piss they serve on the dining car. She tried to tell me she had a premonition. I didn't listen.
Yeah, she kind of knew her time was coming. I don't know if it was foul play and she knew she was going to get murdered, or if it was just natural.
She was dynamite in the sack, by the way.
She was 84.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to react to that.
Well, hello there, chaps. With pleasure.
This guy plays Bartok the Leaper, right? Doesn't he?
Can't arrest him simply because he's a bloody immigrant. He hasn't done anything wrong.
The musical cues along with their eyes, yeah.
Take your hands off my lobby boy!
Oh, just the visual comedy is so good. Just the way the characters move, how he pokes around the corner there.
I know exactly who you are. It's uncanny. You're little Albert.
I'm terribly embarrassed. Release them. Release them!
Kind of proves what he was saying earlier. Being nice to people has like this knock-on effects.
I don't know what sort of cream they've put on you down at the morgue, but I want some. Honestly, in years. Oh, you changed it after all. It's perfect. Clotilde.
Oui, Monsieur Gustave.
It just like chucks her arm back.
We were escorted through a green baize door, down a narrow service corridor, and into...
That's really cool. It kind of reminds me of Spirited Away. There's a shot in Spirited Away that's similar to that, where the doors open themselves.
Discovered our own Deputy Kovacs. Himself an important attorney, of course. He was the executor of the dead widow's estate.
I think, you know, this film definitely requires like a few rewatches. There's so much to pick up on.
Control of the vast bulk of her estate should be transferred forthwith to her son Dmitri, with special allowances for his sisters Marguerite, Laetitia, and Carolina, and minor gifts for various members of the extended family, as shown in the list of recipients, which I will elucidate in due course.
Only minor gifts for them, though.
Monsieur Gustave H. The painting known as Boy with Apple.
Wow.
By Johannes van Huyten.
Who's Gustave H?
I'm afraid that's me, darling.
That's such a great line. His delivery is so great.
This criminal has plagued my family for nearly 20 years. He's a ruthless adventurer and a con artist who...
I mean, I can understand his perspective.
I go to bed with all my friends.
Yeah, it makes complete sense from his perspective. This concierge who, I don't know if he's got in any other wheels, but, you know, he's with all of these older women. So it makes him seem predatory, going after all their money.
I'll cut your throat.
You hear me? I thought I was supposed to be a fucking faggot.
You are, but you're bisexual.
Oh, yeah.
Oui, Serge, vous pouvez emballer ça.
Emballer? Boy, vous appelle?
We're seeing this with subtitles because we're seeing what they're saying in French. I can't remember if there was subtitles before when they spoke in French, or if it was just left up to the audience to kind of figure it out, you know?
What did you want to tell me before?
I think I cannot say right now.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, his message.
I'll die with this picture above my bed. See the resemblance?
That's great using the mirror.
Then leave the country and lay low somewhere along the Maltese Riviera until the troubles blow over and we resume our posts. In exchange for your help, your loyalty, and your services as my personal valet, I pledge to you 1.5%.
1.5%. Yeah, I guess it is actually, it's worth, if it's priced as 1.5, could still be a lot of money.
The police are here. They asked for you.
Tell them I'll be right down.
I don't think this guy is ever standing up straight. He's always like bent over in the elevator, or like poking his head around here.
Questioned by the authorities.
Yes, on one occasion.
What?
I was arrested and tortured by the rebel militia after the desert uprising.
Right. Well, you know the drill then. Zip it.
Yeah, there's definitely like some foreshadowing there, like foreshadowing him in the war there. You know, it's just played off as a funny joke there, but it comes back around. Everything comes back around.
I hereby place you under arrest for the murder of Madame Celine Villeneuve de Goffin Taxis.
She's been murdered. And you think I did
it? Yeah, for some reason I forgot that she was murdered. But I guess because we never actually... Do we actually ever find out how she was murdered? Oh yeah, because then he goes to prison. I think I just thought he went to prison for stealing the painting or something. But yeah, it's because he was framed for the murder or something.
What happened?
What happened, my dear Zero, is I beat the living shit out of a sniveling little runt called Pinky Bandinsky, who had the gall to question my virility.
You know, I know they say show, don't tell, but when the telling is so good like that, it actually works really well, doesn't it?
The next morning, Madame D was found dead by strychnine poisoning.
So it was poison, yeah. So I really can't remember much about, like, her murder part of it, like, who it actually was. Was it her son, Adrian Brody, who did it, like, for the will and then framed Mr. Gustave?
Serge?
I'm afraid so.
That little prick. No, I don't believe it. They put him up to it.
Yes, so Serge was the one to administer the poison, but it wasn't any benefit to him.
Don't give up.
I love those moments of sincerity from Zero.
I need to find him right away for his own safety and everybody else's.
He's so intimidating, isn't he? I love how Wes, he can have the same actors in multiple movies, but in different kind of roles. Like here, Willem Dafoe is like super intimidating, and then he was kind of intimidating in Life Aquatic, but he was a bit more comedic there, I guess.
He's too honest.
But there's poison right there on his desk.
Find him quick and make it snappy.
Who's got the throat slitter?
I love how he's always just like 100% himself, isn't he? He doesn't hide away when he's in prison, hide away his identity, I guess.
Me and the boys talked it over. We think you're a real straight fellow.
Well, I've never been accused of that before, but I appreciate the sentiment.
You're one of us now.
Take a look.
Who drew this?
What do you mean, who drew this? I did.
Very good. You've got a wonderful line.
Yeah, it's a good plan. Good plan and section, elevation.
On our third formal rendezvous, I had asked for her hand in marriage, and she had agreed.
Will you marry me?
On the third date.
For my dearest, darling, treasured, cherished Agatha, whom I worship, with respect...
I love that, how it's in his handwriting as well.
She's charming. She's so charming.
During which he presented Agatha with a...
Is he flirting with you?
Yes.
I approve of this.
Something about the scene, I think maybe the sound design is just so satisfying, the way he's like poking stuff.
Beg your pardon?
Who are you working for? Thought you're supposed to be our lawyer.
Yeah, because if they find out he also works for Gustave. Well, he doesn't actually work for Gustave, but he's got ties to the hotel.
This stinks, sister.
Did you just throw my cat out the window?
Everything is just so expertly crafted, even like in the sound design is so satisfying, I guess.
Very valuable, maybe 5 million Klubecks, in fact. I don't know if anyone's even noticed.
So 5 million Klubecks, obviously it's a fake currency, but 1.5% is a lot for him to take, isn't it? It's great. Pulling it down to reveal the reflection and then put it back up for his reaction. Taking his shoes off to be quiet, yeah. That was great, the shot before. I didn't realize it before. Like, when he turns, it's just the reflection in his glasses, you see. Have they put, like, little fangs in his teeth? Because it looks like he almost has, like, vampire fangs, like, pointing upwards. Or is it just, like, the way Willem Dafoe is, like, holding his jaw? He's kind of holding it forward, it looks like. I don't know.
But you get out there. Shut the fuck up. These guys are trying to escape. God, go!
Again, it's kind of the knock-on effects of Gustav's kindness, isn't it? With this guy, him giving him the mulch earlier. I do wonder how they filmed some of that. Did they actually have someone climbing down the side of a building there? Was that CGI? Was it a miniature? How did they do that?
Whoa!
Yeah, and I love, you know, not showing any of the action. It makes it comical. It's like a cartoon or something.
Pinky, Wolf, Ludwig, this is the Divine Zero. Gunther was slain in the catacombs. No safe house? Really? Completely on our own out here? I take your point, so be it. Squares of lead panache, please, will you? What can I...
Forgot the Lady of Panache.
You forgot the lead panache. I've been in jail, Zero. Do you understand how humiliating this is? I suppose this is to be expected back in Salim Maljabat, where one's prized possessions are a stack of filthy carpets.
See Zero's rage kind of building up there.
What on God's earth possessed you to leave the homeland where you very obviously belong?
Well, you see, my father was murdered, and the rest of my family were executed by firing squad.
You see these moments where they're a bit more sincere, like just focuses on the character solely.
I suppose I better take back everything I just said.
Like from that point of view, Gustav would have been in shot, I guess, or it's like kind of from his perspective, but it's not exactly the same. But this, like here, where it's just like properly zooming in on them when they're being like truly sincere, you know, their barriers are kind of broken down.
You are my dear friend and protege, and I'm very proud of you. You must know that.
And like they even have a vignette around just to, so we're solely focusing on them here.
I want roadblocks at every junction for 50 kilometers. I want rail blocks at every train station for 100 kilometers.
Oh, they found the Mendel's packaging though.
I'm formally calling upon the special services of
the Society of Lacrosse Keys.
Get me Monsieur George at the Chateau Luxford.
And they're all color-coded. Obviously, this background set is almost like the same, isn't it? It's like the same blueprint, but different colors and decorations.
God damn it! Higher!
And this is the guy from Darjeeling Limited, isn't it?
I see. Straight away.
I love this, the vignette coming in to like build the tension, I guess, for dramatic effect. And there's almost like these diegetic title cards full of the hotels, right? They're not exactly title cards, but it's just like in the background.
The plot thickens, as they say. Why, by the way? Is it a soup metaphor?
I don't know.
Yeah, what is the plot thickens? What does it actually origin?
I didn't see that coming. Well, what do you want next?
Oh, look, he's got the fingers like preserved up in the top right. Oh yeah, this is when he realizes.
What's the meaning of this shit?
I believe it was removed by Monsieur Gustave.
And she's the one who gives him up. Okay, she snitches.
Sweating for hours on end in that sweltering kitchen while Mendel, genius though he is, looms over her like a hulking gorilla, yet without question, without fail, always and invariably she's exceedingly lovely. Why?
That's just who she is. Yeah, there's something about people, they're under immense amounts of stress and they can still just always be lovely. Some people it gets them and they just become angry and bitter, but it just doesn't affect her at all. She's always lovely. Oh yeah, there's this fake out where we think she's dead, right? Yeah, girl's head found in the basket, so we usually you think she's dead.
Radio telegram was delivered and signed for by the girl at 4 a.m.
Where's the basket?
The way that guy like runs in.
Where you headed, mister?
And there's Lucas Hedges again.
As a precaution, we disembarked quietly in the freight yard just outside the station.
Yeah, so they don't get caught.
They're de panache.
And they set that up earlier with how much he is always overly perfumed. Yeah, I always wonder with shots like this, like, are these miniatures? Or is it CGI? Or the background look like it might be a hand painting? Or, you know, it could be like miniatures with enhanced by CGI, like the way the swing is swung there is like almost too perfect, the swinging. It could be stop motion again, because Wes has learned a lot about stop motion and miniatures from his work on Fantastic Mr. Fox, right?
Are you Monsieur Gustave of the Grand
Yes, damn it!
Confess.
I'm innocent!
Was the official witness in Madame D's presence to the creation of a second will to be executed only in the event of her death by murder.
Yeah, she obviously suspected she was gonna get murdered. Oh, and the will, it's in the back of the painting, right? Yeah. I love this segment. This one is obviously CGI, and you know, it's not, sometimes it's not even necessarily good CGI, but because it kind of fits the absurdity of the rest of the movie, doesn't it?
What do we do if we catch him?
It's just so energetic and like full of joy, I guess. It just fits really well with the aesthetic and the tone of the film. It doesn't really like take you out of it. The whole film is kind of constantly reminding you that it is a film, isn't it? See there, it does fully look like both Zero and Mr. Gustave like go off the end of the cliff there.
Methinks me breathes me last, me fears, said he. Holy shit, you got him!
He still hasn't finished a poem, has he?
The war began at midnight.
Oh, that's gorgeous. The sky, like the hand-painted sky at the back. And then the ZZ, obviously supposed to be the SS, isn't it? Oh yeah, she's going to get the painting.
I shall never cross its threshold again in my lifetime.
Me neither.
Never again shall I welcome
Actually, I think we might be going in there right now.
And yeah, he is part of it as well.
General von Schrecker asked me personally to make... I beg your pardon.
Yeah, and he's seen the photo of her before. That was funny. Edward Norton's character like turning, facing the camera.
She just got on the elevator with Mr. Golf from Texas.
I'm sorry, who are you?
Otto, sir.
His replacement.
Poppy Boy never provides information of that kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty picture.
6th floor.
Adrian Brody is really good at being intimidating. It'd be good to see him in more like villainous roles, I guess. I haven't seen too much of his filmography, so I don't really know. I do love the soundtrack as well. I don't think it gets mentioned enough. It is great.
Who's shooting who? That's Gustav H., the escaped murderer and art thief. I've got him cornered.
That's Dmitry Degov from Taxis. He's responsible for the killing of Deputy Kovacs, Serge X, and his clubfoot his sister, plus his own mother.
Nobody move. Everybody's under arrest.
310Bs. Hang on, here it comes!
He knows the exact room number for that window. Yeah, there's the second copy.
Something's on the back of the car!
Are you alright?
I think so.
I love this shot, just all of the pink around them. The aesthetic, you know, the pink and blue is so great.
He left everything to Monsieur Gustave, of course.
Yeah.
The mansion, known as Schloss Lutz,
And she's the one who owned the hotel, right?
which produced weapons, medicine, and textiles.
And he's like enjoying retelling the stories and wins the jury over so easily. He's so charming.
In the end, he was even rich. He did not succeed, however, in growing old.
I do love the color-coded outfits, and they were wearing their uniforms at the wedding.
An absurd little disease. Today we treat it in a single week, but in those days, many millions died.
Yeah, it's funny how diseases work like that with medicine. It'll be the same with COVID soon, won't it? It's just like a common cold, how we'll deal with it eventually.
I was perhaps for a time considered the best lobby boy we had ever had at the Grand Budapest.
Until Zero came along.
This one finally surpassed me.
Whence came these two radiant celestial brothers?
Oh, it's Agatha who gets the poetry. She's the one who gets to complete it.
One from the east and one from the west.
Very good.
Don't flirt with her.
You're the first of the official death squads to whom we've been formally introduced. How do you do? Plus ça change, am I right?
Yeah, he's still got his scrap of paper for his visa.
There are still faint glimmers of civilization left in this barbaric slaughterhouse that was once known as humanity.
That was Gustav's line, wasn't it?
He was one of them. What more is there to say?
And the dessert is Mendel's.
Is it simply your last connection to that vanished world? His world, if you will.
The hotel I keep for Agatha.
It was all sentimental, but sentiment for Agatha.
I think his world had vanished long before he ever entered it. But I will say, he certainly sustained the illusion with a marvelous grace.
Yeah, I think a lot of Wes's films are about characters that have this like illusion of themselves. You know, it's always the kids acting mature and they're trying to have this illusion of maturity. There's a lot of characters who kind of have these walls, and then throughout the movie we see the walls kind of being broken down. I think the same kind of applies to his style, because people will say style over substance, but there is, once you break it down, there's great substance in here as well, you know? Okay, so full transparency, I record these in like 20-minute intervals, and I hadn't clicked record for the last 20 minutes, so I had to re-record the last 20 minutes there. But this is a film I've seen before, so I'm not just going to scrap the whole reaction over those 20 minutes, especially when it's something I have seen before, so it's not exactly like faking any of my reactions. I just try to say kind of similar things that I said in the first time round anyway, but I didn't want to, you know, lose the whole video just because of that. I just really love this movie. It's just so filled of kind of joy and delight, even though there are these darker moments here. Just overall in the presentation, it's just so joyful, isn't it? I think this might still be my favorite of all of Wes Anderson's. I think this one, he's just honed down the craft so much, combining all of the character work and then also combining kind of the visual style. This is like really the like epitome of his work, I guess. This is where it's all just kind of brought to the max, I guess, isn't it? This and Royal Tenenbaums have been my favorite so far. Royal Tenenbaums from like the kind of emotional perspective, and this as a whole package. The visuals and the music and the storytelling is all just so great. I really love Mr. Gustave as a character. You know, he has this kind of air about him that's really fun to watch, isn't he? And I think just all of the dialogue is really rich and fun and enchanting. That's the thing with this. It's just so enchanting watching. It's like kind of magical. Just the way the music is so whimsical, and obviously all of the set production is just gorgeous. And it is almost like a play with all of these like miniatures and painted backgrounds and things of that sort. And then on the character front, they're all just so great. Zero as well. I hope Tony Reviori, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I hope he is in even more stuff. Of course, he's in Spider-Man, but I hope he gets even bigger roles because he is so great here. Then Saoirse Ronan, she only has a small role here, but she is just a great actress, as you know from Little Women and Lady Bird. She's amazing. And then there's so many like smaller cameos and characters. All of Wes Anderson's cast and crew, you know, the usuals are here, aren't they? And they just support it really well. But I think Ralph Fiennes, his performance here is like the real standout. He just carries this whole movie so well. And you know, this kind of like fairy tale storybook aesthetic, it works really well because it is actually all a book in the end, isn't it? I always forget about these kind of multiple layers, about the older Zero kind of retelling all of these stories. That's how it's presented. And then then there's Jude Law who's writing it all down, and it's all just this girl reading it at the book at the writer's grave, right? So there's like these multiple layers of the kind of storytelling, and I think with that you can have this kind of unreliable narrator. You know, who knows if all of the events played out in this exact way. Everyone kind of exaggerates their stories when you're like retelling a story, right? So then you can exaggerate it in the movie by having these fun set pieces. It just works really well. And I think, you know, the dialogue here is so rich and fast paced, and it is quite hard to understand. So I think this is the type of movie that does require like a rewatch, so then you can get kind of the full intricacies of every single thing that's going on, because there's still things here that I'm like picking up on with the dialogue, like, oh, I understand what that means, because they're using all of this like fancy vocabulary, and just in the presentation and in the dialogue, it's quite hard to decipher sometimes. So it does like require a rewatch so you can really understand these intricacies of the plot and exactly what's happening at every single point. You know, what point, like why things are happening in the way they are. But like on a few rewatches, it does hold up really well still, and it's just so full of detail and richness that you just pick up on more and more things. It's just really great. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. If you've stuck around to the end, give a like or even subscribe so you can see the upcoming reactions, because I'll be doing the last of the Wes Anderson films, French Dispatch and Isle of Dogs. And if you're interested, check out the Patreon where there'll be early access to upcoming shows and movies. And why not check out my TikTok where I talk about other movies and shorter form content, or even my Twitter account. Give me a follow, why not? So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.